Well, Dad, Jesus has markers. Dad, Jesus has markers. I didn't know what he meant. So I finally asked the right question. Colton, where are Jesus' markers? And he drops his toys down, he stands up, and he just points, Dad, they were right here. He takes his fingers, points to the palms, then he bends over and touches the tops of his feet.
During the first surgery that I had, that's when I got to see heaven.
But you left your body. You didn't die. Left your body.
Yeah. I could look down and I could see my body, and then I could see my mom in one room, and she was on the phone talking and praying. Then my dad was in another room, and he was praying and yelling at the same time.
When you got there, what was heaven like?
Heaven feels like home.
Yeah.
I mean, we were made to be there with God, so it's just amazing the first time you get to be there.
Yeah.
Sometimes in life, the greatest truths are revealed in the simplest ways. Through the innocent heart of a child, through a moment of deep pain, or through an unexpected journey beyond this world. There are moments that shake the ground beneath our feet, moments that force us to ask, is there really something beyond what we can see? Is heaven real? Does God truly hear our prayers? These are not small questions. These are the questions at the very center of our hearts, especially in times of loss, suffering, and doubt. Today, I want to share with you a story. Not a fairy tale, not a legend, but a real story of a little boy who faced death, visited heaven, and returned to tell the world what he saw. This is the story of Colton Burpo, a story of hope, faith, and the powerful reminder that we are loved beyond measure and that heaven is closer than we think. Before we begin, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel. By subscribing, you help me continue to share inspiring and true stories that strengthen our hearts and our faith. Now let's step into the unforgettable journey of Colton Burpo. Colton Burpo was born into an ordinary family in the small farming town of Imperial, Nebraska. His parents, Todd and Sonia Burpo, were hardworking people with deep Christian faith. Todd was a pastor and also fixed garage doors and coached wrestling to provide for his family. Sonia was a teacher and a loving mother. Colton was a lively little boy, full of energy, joy, and the endless questions only a 4-year-old could ask. Life was good for the Burpos, though not without its share of struggles. They had faced financial pressures, health scares, and even the pain of a miscarriage, a grief that remained private, never spoken about around their young son. Yet, nothing could prepare them for what was about to happen, something that would change their lives forever. The sudden crisis, one day, in early 2003, Colton developed a fever. At first, it seemed like the flu, not unusual for a child, but soon the symptoms worsened. His fever climbed dangerously high, and he was screaming in pain. He couldn't keep any food down. His parents grew more and more alarmed. They rushed him to the hospital, where doctors struggled to find the cause. Colton was misdiagnosed several times, wasting critical hours. Finally, it was discovered that his appendix had burst days earlier, and poison had been leaking into his body ever since. The doctors prepared Todd and Sonia for the worst. Colton might not survive. Sonia later said, "We were heartbroken. All we could do was fall to our knees and pray." Todd, a man of faith, found himself pleading, questioning, even getting angry with God. He prayed, "God, after all the years I've served you, is this how it ends? Please don't take my boy." Against all odds, Colton survived the operation. The Burpos were relieved but exhausted. They thought their battle was over. But soon, Colton began to say things, strange, beautiful, impossible things, that made them realize their son's journey had gone far beyond the hospital walls. One evening, as Todd was sitting with Colton, the boy said, completely naturally, "Dad, do you know I almost died?" Todd froze. He and Sonia had never told Colton how serious his illness had been. Then Colton added, "I went up out of my body. I could see you praying and Mommy talking on the phone." Todd was stunned. Colton described in detail what Todd and Sonia had been doing while he was in surgery, things he had no way of knowing. As days went by, Colton told more. He spoke about being carried by angels. He described heaven as filled with beautiful colors, singing, and joy beyond words. He said he met Jesus, who had markers, a child's way of describing the scars from the crucifixion, on his hands and feet. Colton also talked about meeting family members. He said he met his great-grandfather, Pop, who died decades earlier. When shown a photo of Pop as a young man, Colton said, "That's him," even though he had never seen that picture before. But one moment shook Todd and Sonia more than any other. Colton told his parents that he met a little girl in heaven, a girl who looked like Cassie, but wasn't Cassie. "She said she was my sister," Colton said. "She told me you had a baby die in your tummy." Todd and Sonia were speechless. They had never told Colton about the miscarriage. They had buried that pain deep inside, thinking he was too young to understand such sorrow. Sonia began to weep. "The little girl had no name," Colton said, "because his parents never named her. But she loved them, and she was waiting for them." This moment pierced Todd and Sonia's hearts with both pain and healing. It was confirmation that their lost child was safe, loved, and waiting in heaven. Heaven's beauty through a child's eyes. He spoke of a place where there was no sadness, no darkness, no sickness. He said, "Everyone is young in heaven. Nobody is old or sick." He talked about colors that were more beautiful than anything on earth. He described animals, horses, lions, and dogs, all happy and peaceful. He said Jesus wore a purple sash, that he rode a rainbow-colored horse, and that the first thing Jesus did was hold him close and comfort him. "Jesus really, really loves the children," Colton said, his voice full of childlike wonder. Todd Burpo decided to share Colton's story in a book titled Heaven is for Real. Published in 2010, it quickly became a #1 New York Times bestseller. Millions of copies were sold around the world. A major Hollywood movie was made based on the book. Readers found hope, peace, and reassurance through Colton's simple, sincere testimony. People grieving loved ones said they felt a new sense of comfort, knowing heaven is not just an idea, it's real. Todd wrote in the book, Colton's message was simple. Jesus really, really loves you, and heaven is for real. Today, Colton Burpo is grown, but he still shares his story. He humbly reminds people that heaven isn't a fantasy, it's a promise. He doesn't claim to be special. He just tells what he saw, through the eyes of a little boy who was held by Jesus and sent back to tell the world, you are loved, you are not alone, and heaven is real. In a world filled with doubt, anger, and fear, Colton's story shines like a light in the darkness. It reminds us all, when life feels heavy, there is hope. When hearts are broken, there is healing. When death looks final, there is life everlasting. Colton Burpo's journey teaches us that even in our weakest moments, even when everything seems lost, God is there. Heaven is not just a hope, it's a reality waiting for us with open arms. If this story touched your heart today, please make sure you subscribe to my channel. There are many more true stories of faith, hope, and miracles that I can't wait to share with you. Thank you for being here. Stay hopeful, stay strong, and remember, heaven is real. and you are loved.